So good morning, everybody, and it's my pleasure to welcome Colonel Rajagopalan, who will be conducting the EMC session today. Over to you, Colonel Saab.
Namaste and good morning to everyone. Am I audible to everyone?
Good morning.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Oh. Firstly, thank you very much, sir. And it's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. Yesterday, when I happened to talk to Sukhdeep sir, Sukhdeepak has said, why don't you take over this or tomorrow, that is today. So it caught me surprised because I wasn't prepared. I was planning to skip the meeting today because of Dashera. Okay. The topic that he has asked me to speak on, let me just, I'm wearing my one. Okay. Yeah. Am I audible now? Tanmay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So strength
Yes.
5, strength 5, we are able to hear you beforehand.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
No, I think my thing is not getting connected to the thing. And let me log off from your computer. That's why I'll probably be able to connect it. Okay. My transition, I can talk of my end, but fortunately, I have a lot of my friends here who had also moved in from uniform to corporate and have had fairly successful innings as part of their second innings, moving out here from corporate. So largely, I would like to seek their view also as what has been their experience of with the background that they've had in uniform and moving into corporate, and what they have earned during their 15, 20 years of experience, or maybe 5 years also, how their experience and learning in the uniform has been of use or not use when they moved into the corporate culture or corporate work environment. To set the ball rolling, I would like to talk of my own experience. When I moved in, the first thing I was, the day I went for my interview also, my boss who was a general, he told me, I said, do not leave your army ethics, ethos, and culture. Go with this. These are all going to be your bedrock. Because when you move to corporate, those guys are going to look at you, you are an ex-army. So they have set image of an army personnel, an army officer. So you have to carry that to fit into that image of the pre-built or pre-imagined thing. So you go with that. So the first thing he told me, tomorrow, how are you going? How are you going to get dressed up? I said, I'll go with normal open collar and everything. No. You wear a tie, you wear a suit, and then go. And I went for an interview with a coat, suit, and everything to the thing. I was the only guy in a complex housing around 4,000 people who was in suit, boot ki sarkar type of thing. I went. I had that day around 5 interviews, going from one desk to another desk to one room to another room like that. And end of the day, when I came back, the interview was fairly thing. And then I came back. I felt an odd man that day. But somehow what my boss who told me, that remained imprinted in my mind. So when I joined the company, I continued to wear my tie. Nearly for 1 year, I continued to wear my tie, in spite of having seen the environment where nobody else wears a tie other than me. So I was an odd man out, but I became very popular because of the tie. In no time, people started recognizing me. But they all branded me Colonel Saab, Colonel Saab, Colonel Saab, irrespective of me having identified myself as a colonel or me identified as myself as a simple Raj. So I went with an aura or a preconceived an opinion about an army grade when I went there. But in army we have a class separation. You have a Jawan, you have an NCO, you have a JSO, you have an officer, then you got a senior officials, etc. So everyone, though supposed to be working in close coordination, there is a separation of rank. Everyone says, you have to conduct yourself in this fashion when you are talking to this kind of a people or this kind of a men. But in corporate, when I went, everyone was largely mingling on freely. There was no clerk concept which I had experienced in army. I had a clerk, I had a PA, I had a secretary. Here when I went, even my executive assistant who was there, the secretarial staff, they always used to tell me to do my own job. I have to receive mail, I have to draft a reply and then respond. Whereas in my organization where I worked for about 25 years, you just have to scribble something and give it to in point form, and somebody will make a draft out of that, a letter out of that, and give it to you for signing. So this is how it started off in that. But in no time, what I realized in my life there, I will just put it in few headlines. Thereafter, I will ask my ex-army colleagues, army personnel who are in corporate, to speak on those also and speak on their own experience. And you're all at liberty to, poke myself or poke me and then seek any kind of a clarification. When I came, then there was an HR department which first I got interacted or first I got to know about a corporate. The HR was the department which, the recruitment was part of the thing. Me being a non-technical, my recruitment process was handled by HR. Later it went to technical HR. That is a technical recruitment team. They started interviewing me like that. So, but when I started working there, and I thought the HR became very compartmentalized in corporate, whereas in army, the HR is a common function of every person. There is no separate HR department per se. Every guy is an HR head or HR representative at whatever level he was. Like me, as a commanding officer of the battalion, I had 800 plus people working under me, 18 to 20 officers under me, and various components of other departments working under me. And I was the head of the HR, I was the head of operation, I was chief CEO, everything. So everything, the buck generally used to stop at me. So whereas there I found, then I started to drive in this aspect of whomever I interacted, that I said, the technical guys who are delivery head or business head, they used to come discuss something about HR. They will say, no, you as HR, you handle this guy. This guy is creating a problem. He is not delivering and all. So my always talk used to be with them that you are also an HR head. You are just not there just to get the work out of them. To get the work out of them, you are supposed to be an HR, human resource manager. You have to have a managerial skill to manage a human resource. Machine doesn't need much of maintenance, much of management. It only requires maintenance. But whereas human being requires first one-to-one relationship, and that relationship is what is the tool that you're going to use it to manage their ability or their competency and their productivity. I try to do that. Many people learned out of that. They were successful. Some people never bothered to learn, but largely people were in concurrence. So I always felt in corporate, the role of HRM rests with everybody. That is my first learning of that. Then in army, we were taught that whenever you want to get a work done, or when you think of an operation, when you think of a plan, you always must think one level up of like you are a manager, you must think from the senior manager level, or the whoever is your senior. From his position, you must think. Second, from your position, you must also think two down. You must think as an assistant manager and then the people who are under them. Then only you will know how a particular decision should be passed on or conceived firstly and passed on, and how it is going to be received by those people. What will be their doubt? What all will be their challenges when they try to execute your plan, whatever you want them to do. So unless you have this one up and two down, is this. And I found it was very, very effective when I started practicing it there. It was taught to us in army, always. Similarly, in maintaining a communication in army, we always say, you should worry about the communication which is down below you. Don't worry too much about the communication behind you. That is my communication with my senior. No, it is his responsibility to ensure that the communication he maintains with me, and I must maintain my communication 2 level down. I must ensure my communication is through multiple channels so that there is no confusion at the execution level regarding what is and how a particular thing needs to be executed. The third thing, what I said, try to let people speak and question your decisions. Unless they question, they will not get the clarity, they will not get the conviction of your decision. It is in army, generally people perceive you decide and pass on, things will be done. In army also I learned, if you are able to convince the people who are going to execute it, if you can tell them the purpose of that action, why they are expected to do it in a particular fashion, why? You keep telling them the why, because ultimately it is a common goal for which we are all working. Once he is convinced, that is your ability as a manager to convince him. That is where your leadership comes in. It is not only managerial skill, your leadership skill comes when you start telling them and convincing them so that they put in their best and get their best productivity or production result. That is what I think. And it was very, very successful in. The most important thing which I always felt was, when you interact with the people, they must know that you are genuine. You are really concerned about them. That is where the HRM, your human resource aspect of the managerial and leadership skill comes there. You can't have something in your mind only looking at the resources, human resources like a machine, only exploiting it, and the day the machine gets spoiled or the machine doesn't deliver, you tell either to get the guy, let the guy go, tell him you are not useful, you go, or you just try to push him out to some other department under a different manager because you don't want a trouble. This is your failure, for which I felt, as long as you are honest, honesty of purpose, honesty of relationship, and genuine concern about them. And this has helped me even in managing annual appraisal, because I used to be regularly interacting with them. I used to be telling them where they are wanting, where I want them to improve, where they need to focus on that. I spent a lot of time with each of them. Every month I used to, informally, it is never a formal discussion. I used to smoke. So I used to take these guys out with me for a smoke. They never used to smoke. Sit with them over a cup of tea or something, talk to them. I hear about their family, then I used to tell them what. So it is an informal environment in which I was able to communicate with those people. And whenever they had a problem, like in small things, they will tell me, sir, can I take a 3 days leave? They know it is a critical situation in the company, and in all probability, a normal manager would have said no. My thing is, if you think your going on leave is more important than being in the company, by all means go. Don't worry about leave. It will be managed. If that means I have to go and do his job also, I will do it. Then they started realizing, this man, when he says he does it, because when I tell him to go, I used to do his job. Or I used to take the help of somebody who knew the job equally good. I, along with them, used to get the job done. The work distribution used to happen. Slowly, they all understood. So they never, even in the appraisal, when I used to rate one higher than the other, they never came back to me questioning my logic. Never, not even in my 11 years, nobody came to question my logic of things. I have rated somebody in the low. He only used to come and tell me, sir, I'm sorry, I have not lived up to your expectation. Please hold my hand. Next year, I will prove that I can deliver much better. This has been my relationship with the thing. It's basically because my genuine concern, interest in their welfare, in their growth, in their competence build-up. I used to be there, their welfare overall. So as a leader, that was my thing. And, largely, I consider that every man who is working under me is a brand ambassador of my department. Like I was the brand ambassador of my company. Wherever I go, I used to have that tag with my company written. So people used to look at that and say, okay, he is a so-and-so company representative, or he is a company official, or company personnel. So I'm carrying the reputation of the company outside. Even in my car, the sticker used to have the company for a parking. So wherever I'm going out anywhere, that is the brand I'm carrying. So I always used to tell them, as long as you are in this company, no doubt you are the brand ambassador of the company. But when you are leaving this company and going to another company, you are carrying this brand with you. The new company, because I have heard so many people who have left my company and gone to some other company, they always used to come, whenever I used to interact with them, they used to say, sir, what I learned in this company, I am not learning there. I said, no, that is wrong. If you keep your eyes and ears open, you will learn that. I'm happy that you are appreciating your effort that you put in this company. The recognition, whatever you got or you didn't get, that is a different issue. But do not, speak low of a new company because you want to please me. No, sir. They said, yes, genuinely, I learned a lot here. So, and he, by going there and talking of the previous company, he remains a brand ambassador of the company in which he worked. That is a very, very positive aspect of that thing. I'm quite sure when he's leaving that company, he will be a brand ambassador of that company. Because unless you consider yourself as a brand ambassador of that organization in which you work or in which you are working, your association and emotional involvement will be incomplete. Then you will always feel uncomfortable in an environment because you're not attaching yourself with that. So these are some of the things which I thought I must bring it instead of taking too much of time. I want my other friends to speak at least on one aspect of their learning in army, how it had come. As I said, you are all at liberty to stop in between, just question. Otherwise, I don't want to leave the question to the end only. Okay. I would request my fellow army participants, if they want to speak, to raise their hand and take on from here. Yes, Hindil, you go ahead, please. I would request Babu to speak thereafter.
Thank you, sir. But in fact, I know Raj sir so well because we worked together, and I was in Techum, and sir joined it later. But we worked very closely, and as whatever sir has said, I have seen that happening on ground. How much he used to take care of his team. Couple of my learnings when I came to corporate. Definitely the first one which I learned is that the ownership, which we used to take it for granted in the army. If I give a job, I know that guy will do it, or at least he will come and tell me well in time, ki saab, here I am stuck. This is something I found it. When you are given a job, you need to go and follow. Okay, Hare, have you done? Have you got anywhere stuck? Then later I realized that I used to use the same formula what we used to do in the army. I always, when I give a task, three things I ensure. That first, you tell very clearly what is expected. So that itself is an issue. Many of the time, people then say, "Ye kar lena, dekh lena." These are very dangerous words. You have to tell precisely what is required. And the second very important thing is you need to give a timeline. Otherwise, that guy will not know, okay, my boss wants this, but he doesn't know when he wants it. So he may prioritize other thing which may not be important. I may be working on that. So you tell exactly by what time you need that. Giving the timeline. First is the task. Second is the timeline. Third, very important one. Just see whether he has got all those resources which is required to complete the task. Right? If you give these three things well in advance to a guy subordinate, there are very few chances that he will fail. Also, like sir said, if you are genuine, if you are always in your communication channel is very clear, he will not hesitate to come back in well in time to tell you, sir, here I am stuck. Rather than coming at the last minute or when the deadline, he may say, sir, I couldn't do it. So if you can keep this channel of communication open and give this three things in mind, task, timeline, and resource, there are very good chances you'd. And next, another thing what I always enjoyed in corporate is that I have maintained relationships so well with my bosses as well as my subordinates. I think that is the biggest strength which we all army officers we carry from the defense. because there we believe in teamwork. It's never an individual thing. Anytime my team fails, I will not hesitate even for a second to go on and hold it up, sir, it is my failure. Even if my subordinate does any mistake, I'll be first one to go on and hold it. This also I learned in corporate. I've seen people can be so low. One person, despite of not me doing any mistake, my boss went and said, he missed it out. Which we never do it in the army. We always take responsibility. That ownership is something which again from the army we do it. When we do that in the corporate world, they appreciate. This is the one quality. I worked in at least 6-7 companies in the corporate now. Everywhere there is a stark difference. Let's see the army officers की ownership है. इनको army वालों को दे देंगे तो they will very well own it up. There is no doubt about it.
Captain
So-
Sendil, thank you. Thank you. I think
Thank
we
you, sir.
have to, thank you very much. I request Babu, basically we have to close this call at 7:30 because Sukhdev sir has got another call after that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let
Babu,
us-
please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Babu, please.
Good morning, everyone. It was a refreshing talk, sir. Like reminded of the past 22 years of my life in the army. I have a very less exposure to the corporate because as soon as I came out, I started my own venture. And but what my realization is, what we have told with examples is amply, amplifiable. 2 additional points, sir. I always in my career in the army felt that only when you work, you make mistakes. So you should give the comfort zone to a person under you, space to a person under you to make mistakes, which means that one should not be very centralized. Some amount of decentralization with the mid course correction should be there, so that if a person should be free enough to come to you and say, sir, I did this and there's a mistake which has happened. So if somebody is not free enough to come and tell you that he has made a mistake, then there is a problem in communication. Now that is where you can understand that the channel of communication is not open or it is not informal, right? And how does it come? It comes with the informals, which Raj sir said that other than the formal occasion, we should make an attempt to informally connect with everyone. So that is zero error syndrome. So we should never have a zero error syndrome in our life, personal also and business or in career also. Now, second, which I wanted to say is what sir said is genuinity. That is, I would put it in a single word called intent. So whenever your intent is very clear what you want and you are genuinely concerned about others, then the mechanics does not make a difference. See, there may be 10, 100 ways of doing a thing. A way may be a better, or the company may be recommending something, or we used to be doing something in a manner. But if somebody is recommending something else, one is recommending something else, the intent of the person is very, because intent is seen by everyone. It is not to be it may not be communicated, but it is seen. And when the intent is seen, it is, it works out. It works out. So the intent always matter. The mechanics, yes, it does matter. Procedures and system does matter, but intent overtakes it. So that
Yes.
is what few additions which I would
So
like to
You
give.
actually, you brought it. Genuineness towards the people who work under, that is your concern towards that. But certainly not at the cost of the overall interest of the organization or
Yes,
the
yes,
company.
definitely.
But as long as you are genuine about that also, the people under you will be understanding your interest because they know this man means honest, commitment. And that helps you build a team as long as, you are able to drive home the point. You are absolutely correct, Babu. Major Narayanan and Kuldeep sir.
Yeah, we are there. The
Just
time is running out, but I would like to commend the way that you've been able to handle the session. And thanks to Captain Senthil for having given his opinion. I too stand by you. Whatever he had said, there are a lot of similarity between you, Captain Senthil, and me. And I have also worked with Senthil. And communication always helps, taking accountability and being open with people. That's a great leveling factor vis-a-vis the civilian crowd. So thank you. And
Thank you. Thank you, Narayan. Thank you. We have about
Time
2 minutes.
have
I'm sure of,
1 minute time for you to make your closing.
yes. Is there anyone who's got a question? You can message me. I can take it on offline, and then we will. I will share my own personal experience related to that and provide clarity. And I thank all the people. I don't know how beneficial this has been to people who have been on the listening mode. Generally, this conversation, when you let an Army guy speak, he speaks a lot. So this is what has happened here. 30 minutes has turned out to be too little a time for us. But I thank people who have joined in this conversation. And I'm grateful to Sukdeep Sir for having given us an opportunity to share our experience for the benefit of everybody here. With this, I'm not going in for a shairi. I
No time for
close the
sharing.
session. Yeah, I close this session here. And I will, since you are there, sir, you can close down this on your
Well,
closing
all I
remark.
want to say is that I'm 100% clear that this one session is not enough for covering what you wanted to. So we will give you another session. Yeah. So it will be one of these days, and then you guys can, all the army officers in this group can speak your hearts out, and everybody will be listening to it with bated breath. Thank you so much for a
Thank you,
wonderful
sir.
session. I enjoyed it as much as I'm sure other people would have enjoyed it. Commodore Saab is also there. Don't forget, he's also from the armed forces.
I asked him.
Yeah, so we will have a session with him also. So good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, and see you all tomorrow morning for another useful and interesting morning conversation. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Happy Dussehra to everyone.
Happy
Happy
Dussehra to
Dussehra.
everyone.
God